What is going on, everybody? Welcome into the Tim Warren Show. In today's episode, we got to talk about this crash that just continues. Bitcoin and a lot of altcoins have once again set new lows for the pullback over the last couple of months. And we're going to explain why that is. If you have not found your way to the internet to discover the news coming out today, we're going to cover all that for you. We're going to look at the charts. What does this mean? In today's video, I also want to go over the opposite of something I talked about earlier this week. On Monday, I gave you guys a list of reasons as to why I think the top is not in. However, I want to be very fair. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not here telling you what to do with your money. So if I'm going to present pieces of evidence that would suggest the top's not in, I also want to suggest all of the evidence that would take that it is in. So today we're talking about reasons I could be worried and that you should be taking into account to decide what you want to do with your portfolio. Anytime I tell you guys what I'm doing in my portfolio does not mean you have to follow or copy me. I might remain bullish, but it doesn't mean I'm oblivious or ignoring the bearish indicators either. And I want to be fair and present those details to you so that you can make these decisions for yourself. If you're ready for that, it's not a fun day, but we're going to have a show. Make sure to smash the like button. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel. By the way, we're now over 60,000 subscribers. I joked on X yesterday. Maybe we'll make it to 100,000 again before Bitcoin. I really hope not. But at this point, you got to start making jokes like that because it could become a reality. I got to introduce the team here. We got the whole group back. I got Smay. I got Shrum. Also, by the way, those of you in chat, let me know what you thought of yesterday's short 20-minute live show with just me. Did you enjoy it? Was it not enough information? I know some people like to listen to this like a podcast for the full hour. Other people want the information quick. And let me know what you guys think about new Tuesday, Thursday, 20-minute live shows at 3 p.m. Boys, how we feeling? Smay, where are you right now?
Tim, I am at Highmark Stadium in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and I just want to say the Steelers might not be winning, although we did win last week. The Penguins might not be winning, and most certainly the Pirates will never win.
Yeah, that's true.
The Pittsburgh Riverhounds, our soccer team, is playing in the championship on Saturday. So, guys, here's for the Riverhounds, baby.
All right, go Pitt. How about you, Shrum? How are you feeling today, my friend? You're about to move, aren't you? You're about to leave the sweet state of Virginia.
Yes, my current house is as chaotic as the markets because everything's in boxes. There's dogs running around barking. You might get to hear some barking today. That'll be the treat for you. But regardless, I'm centered. I'm doing my meditations, and I'm better than I deserve, Tim.
Yeah. Listen, it's gonna be a good show today, even if all the information is not what you guys want. I will say, just to kind of put it out there, of course, I do think every single time on this show we've given a flare of bearishness during this correction. Those seem to be the temporary bottom days. So here's hoping maybe it's today as we kind of present a bearish show for you. Maybe we get a little bit of a bump. Again, I'm going to present some details later on about reasons to be concerned that possibly the crypto top is in, and maybe we are entering into a longer-term bear market. With that, though, I want to make sure I'm stressing, stick around and watch the whole thing because I will explain to you, no matter whether you believe the top is in or not, what a good strategy would look like. Again, bearish or bullish, what a good strategy looks like to make sure you're protecting your portfolio as best you can. I'm going to give you all the info here later on. Let's go ahead and go to the charts here. Take a look at Bitcoin with me, guys. I told you yesterday in the 20-minute live, remember, I said, oh, is it over? And I said, there's a chance. We had a nice little wick here, but there wasn't the momentum and the moves that I thought needed to happen for a bottom to be in. I will say, I thought that we would jump up just a little bit higher than only getting back up to 93.7. I thought we'd go a little higher before coming down and setting a new low, but today we've done it. Today, Bitcoin, even right now, is down to 88,600. We broke below 89,000. And this is going to start to kind of unwind just how much lower can we go. I want to be very clear here. There's something to be said about reasons why I still thought this is a decent support level. And I think there's a decent chance we do get a kick back up. I'll talk about that here in a second. But I want to refresh, before I get into the bad news, before I show you the bearish looking things, I want to remind you just the amount of support that was in this zone. First of all, this was a Fibonacci golden pocket zone. That doesn't guarantee the bottom end. It does, though. To me, it would have made more sense for us to break back to the upside, maybe get back up towards resistance before making the new low. But we had that. We had these massive liquidations that have been sitting here for quite some time. All the way back here, we actually created them back in April of 2025, right as we were getting out of a big pullback. We came down, we took out all of those liquidations. We took out the CME gap that we talked about here for quite some time. Everyone talked about that CME gap down to 92,000. We have taken out the majority of the big drivers that have caused the collapse from Bitcoin up at 107 down towards the current level. So that is a reason still to believe a short-term bottom could be coming in soon. We do not have a daily buy signal just yet. I do want to see this come back. We had a little bit of one back here on November 9th. And right now, you do see on this oscillator right here, our favorite oscillator, this is Flow Signals, doing a great job helping us trade these markets. It is starting to round a little bit. There's no green dot. We do have a green reversal, but no green dot, and the money flow is still negative on the daily chart, which means I need to see that change. However, you are starting to see some signs. And this started out yesterday, so I don't want to promise you this means today's the bottom, because yesterday it started. We are seeing the 12-hour give us a lot of reversals, bullish momentum, and the money flow has moved sideways. When you look at other charts like the 8-hour, you actually did start an official process of positive money flow on the 8-hour, on the 4-hour, and then, of course, we get into the 1-hour chart and stuff, and that's where it got volatile. It gave us a buy signal at one point, now it gave us a sell signal. Would have been a great place to enter a short if you were trading during the Asian hours. But in a nutshell, what we have going on right now is the new bottom for today, but a lot of reasons, a lot of thoughts as to why we should have some sort of a rebound here very soon. With that said, I want to go ahead and get into the details of what's going on with my reasons to potentially be concerned. Take it off my screen here for a second, Smay. If you missed Monday's show, I think it was Monday's show. Tell me in chat if I'm wrong. Maybe I did a different show, but I gave 8 different reasons why I think the top is not in. I'll kind of run through them really quickly just so you're aware of them, but I'm not going to explain them. I'm going to get into my detail, though. I have a list of 6 reasons that I am a little concerned, and I think you should be as well, and you don't want to ignore these indicators. But reasons I think the top's not in. Number one, we never had a euphoric retail investment like we have in bull markets past. We never had that crazy, stupid retail top signal. Number two, the Bitcoin dominance, even though it's up a little bit today, is in a bear trend. Lower highs and lower lows. Usually that actually indicates the beginning of something really bullish, not the end. Number three, altcoins have been in a sideways / bear market for most of 2025. A lot of altcoins put their tops in December of 24. Does that mean they're going to enter into a 2-year bear market? Maybe, but I think that's a little weird. Number four, liquidity still has not come. Now, you're going to see this pop up in my list to be concerned as well, but ultimately, we told you back in January, if you want to see a bull run, we're going to need injected liquidity, and we keep getting teased that could be coming very soon, but it still has not come. That's why I still think it's something bullish is coming out later. Number five, regulation is about to pass. Now, we have an update on that. Obviously, some news came out since I presented this list about when that regulation could be coming out. But that is coming sooner rather than later and should have a bullish effect. Number six, quantitative tightening will be ending in December, and it's only a matter of time before QE begins. We'll talk more about that today. Number seven, more rate cuts are coming. Maybe not in December, but they will come in 2026. And then number eight, the economy has been shaky all year, but is in a good spot to have a successful 2026. Now, those are the 8 reasons I presented on Monday that I think should make you pause about just being convinced that the top is in. But I want to make sure you're clear here and you have both sides of the coin, because I did compile, again, 6 reasons we're going to go over here right now in depth, in detail, as to why concern is not the worst thing in the world. Caution should be taken into account. After I finish with this list, listen to the whole thing. Right now, don't try to pinpoint what I'm going to say afterwards. Let me present my reasons, chew on them, give me your thoughts after I say them, and then stick around for what I'm going to say about how to handle if you are concerned the bear market's here. What is the best strategy you count now moving forward according to history? Let's go with number one. Reasons to be worried. Number one, institutions are running the ship, not retail. Remember I said one of the reasons to not think a top is in is that we never had that retail euphoria where it was just massive amounts of brand new investors flooding in and they end up being the exit liquidity at the top. We never had that. But to be fair, the reason we haven't had it is because this whole bull run has been run by the institutions who we know are manipulators, but we're ultimately on their timeline. So could we see institutions decide, you know what, we purposely want to send crypto into a long winter so that no retail wants to touch it with a 10-foot pole anytime soon, and we can gobble up all those prices at ridiculously low levels? I'm not saying that's going to happen, right? That's not my argument, but I am saying if you're playing by the institution's rules, you don't really get a say whatsoever, and you got to kind of watch to see how they perform. That is concerning, and it's not something I want to just kind of gloss over and ignore. It is concerning. Institutions call the ship, not us. Number two, as we get back into the charts here, let's go take a look at this one, but this is the one everyone's mentioned here. It's the SMAs, ladies and gentlemen. It's the 50-week SMA. Now, I've told you guys before, I don't think that just because we've done this, it means absolutely 100% the bear market's here. But I want to be fair with the analysis. We have officially closed a weekly candle below the 50-week SMA. And right now, as we are putting in brand new lows at 88.5, we're only halfway through the week. It's only Wednesday, but we're on a good trajectory right here to potentially also close a second week below that 50-week SMA. This has not happened this entire bull run. We've had wicks drop below this yellow 50 line, but we have not had a candle. We've not had multiple candles close below since guess when? All the way back here during the early stages of the bear market in January of 2022. Now, they're going to tell you that obviously, historically, Bitcoin, when it closes multiple weeks below the 50, that's it. We're done. It's a bear market, right? There's one exception. There's actually two exceptions, but I don't really count COVID because that was an anomaly. I think the exception right here actually is going to be in 2019. Fall of 2019, we actually spent 2 months flirting with / being below the 50-week moving average. Do we see this as a repeat of that, or do we see this as a repeat of potentially what we saw back in 2022? Either way, though, you should know that this is something that we have not done this bull run so far. It is different. And I loved listening to people like Ben Cowan. He's even saying at this point, you need to be aware, when you make this move, sometimes we drop below like we did in 2022, but sometimes we just drop down to that 200-week moving average. This would put the price action for Bitcoin somewhere, as this purple line is rising, in the world of $60,000 to $70,000 per coin for Bitcoin. Again, is that guaranteed? Is it absolute? No, it's not an absolute. It's not a guarantee, but it is something to be aware of. We have done something we have not done this whole bull run, and that is close a weekly candle significantly below the 50-week moving average. And unless something crazy does happen in the next couple of days, it looks like 2 weeks will be closed below that level. You do need to know about that. Number three reason to be concerned right now, and it's going to be another thing that historically is marked with bear markets, and that is the monthly MACD. Let's go ahead and take a look down here. I'm actually going to minimize my other oscillators, so I want to emphasize what's going on here. We just recently here this last month got a bearish MACD cross. You will see that historically other times this has happened. We go back to guess when? January of 2022. And another big one at the end of the bull run, you also have back here in June of 2018. Now, that was actually pretty significantly after the top, because the top was in December of 2017. But you get my point here. After major bull runs, you do see MACD bearish crosses mark a bear market situation, like in 2022 and in 2018. Now, they won't tell you this. Again, just like 2019 had that weird thing with the 50-week SMA, we also had a bearish MACD cross there in the fall of 2019 as well, and that was not the end of the bull run. But I want to be fair and letting you guys know these are signs of the past two bear markets. When the MACD monthly cross is bearish, you're looking at the beginning of a bear market historically. Will it end up being that way? Again, I'm just presenting the details. You're going to be able to do with them what you want. You can go up my screen for this next one. Number four, even though I think it's dead, even though I don't think this is a big deal, I just want to be very clear. The 4-year cycle timeline, if the top is in, played out perfectly once again. We even told you earlier this year, we thought a significant sell-off would happen in October. Why? Because according to the 4-year cycle, or more realistically, the 3-year, 11-month cycle, as it actually kind of performs, puts us at a top in October. Well, guess when we topped out for Bitcoin? In October. And so even though I think that this whole thing is still a calculated pullback so that institutions can buy cheap Bitcoin while retail investors are convinced they timed the top to perfect again, maybe I'm wrong. It wouldn't be the first time I'm wrong. Maybe the 4-year cycle is still intact, in which case it did it once again. That's a reason to be concerned, right? I want to be paused right here because I have two more. I want to be very clear with you guys. I'll work through these with you. You might be saying, Tim, you're going through these pieces of evidence. Does this mean you're changing your mind? Does this mean you're bearish? No, it doesn't. The same reason that I think that this time is different is the same reason why these indicators that I want to point out to you and be fair and show to you are not going to be as big of a deal, because you can't have it both ways. You can't say we're going to do the exact same thing as we've always done, but also say this time is different. One has to be true. And at the end of the day, there's been so many things about this cycle that have not been the same. Bitcoin has never hit new all-time highs before the halving event. It happened this time. We've always had an altcoin season an X amount of days after the halving event. That did not happen this season. We've always had retail euphoria come in and be the top. We haven't had that happen this season. So this market, this cycle, this bull run has already been so different than previous bull runs. My logic says, why do we think the bear market's going to look identical? But I want to be fair and present the evidence, because you ultimately need to decide this for yourself. Let's keep going. If you're just joining in here, we're going through reasons to be concerned the top is in. Number one, institutions are running the ship, not retail. Number two, the weekly 50 SMA has been lost and is in danger of having 2 weekly closes below. Week number three, the monthly MACD is bearish. It has crossed bearish. Number four, the 4-year cycle timeline has played out perfectly so far. Or sorry, let's not say perfectly. The 4-year cycle top timeline has played out. Number five, the liquidity was supposed to come earlier this year. Remember I said in my list of being bullish, we still have liquidity coming. Well, let's be fair about liquidity coming, because liquidity is supposed to be coming this whole year. Liquidity has been supposed to come earlier this year, but they keep kicking the can down the road. Will that continue? Guys, I thought 2025 would be bullish because they flirted with the concept of liquidity and massive rate cuts in the beginning of this year. And then, of course, as we know, tariffs got involved and chaos got involved, and let's just call it what it is. Donald Trump got involved and all hell broke loose, and the liquidity game got kicked down the road. I'm going to stick with this, guys. The bull run will continue when liquidity is injected back in the markets. But if we keep saying, well, it's a month away, 2 months away, and then they keep kicking it down the road, who's to say they're not going to do that once again? I mean, we're expecting quantitative tightening is going to end in December. We're expecting very soon they will have more rate cuts, and quantitative easing will probably be announced Q1 to maybe early Q2 of 2026. But what if they just keep kicking that down the road? If there's no liquidity, there's not that massive amount of money to buy up dips, in which case the bear market just continues to roll on. This is a reason to be concerned until we see liquidity. I want to be actually very clear here. Until we see an injection of liquidity, I'm just not going to be able to call a bottom. Like if you're saying, Tim, is the bottom in? I'm going to just tell you right now, the bottom's not in until we see confirmed injection of liquidity back into the markets. Reason number 6, here's my last one. And there's probably other reasons. These are just my 6. You can have your own. If we are not aggressive in cutting rates, and of course we got to discuss this here in a second with Shrum. If we're not aggressive in cutting rates, unemployment could shoot up and cause a recession. I don't feel like I need to explain it too much. Recessions aren't good. We will not have a bull market during a recession. If we do not control and put a cap on unemployment that's looking like it's starting to pick up some wheels here, the train's starting to go down the tracks. If the Fed keeps pausing for too long and allows unemployment to spike, recession will set in, and that will be a bear market. By the way, tagline for that one, Jerome Powell, kind of the one who's taking his sweet time with excessive rate cuts, he will remain Fed chairman. I know Trump keeps saying he's going to fire him. That's not going to happen. He will remain the Fed chairman until May 15th. So we're talking about the middle of quarter 2 of 2026. So if he keeps his feet in the sand and refuses to cut rates and bring in quantitative easing and bring that liquidity, and all of a sudden the unemployment levels start to skyrocket, doesn't really matter what else is happening. Recession will bring massive corrections to almost every market out there. Those are my reasons to be concerned. Now, we're going to get into the details of what's going on with those last two. We're going to talk about liquidity here in a second. We're going to talk about the Fed overall and regulation. Let me explain to you, though, if you listen to that and said, dang, Tim, I've been holding on and I can't do it any longer. I need to sell my crypto. I need to sell it all now. I need to get out from under this. Can't afford to get destroyed like I have all year anymore. Don't do it yet. As I said earlier in the technical analysis, we'll go back to it here in a second. There probably will be some sort of relief bounce here coming. Let's even take a look at the bear market here. Go back to my screen. Remember we said the 50-week moving average, when it is lost, you have a pretty rough way down. Again, Ben Cowan even now is saying sometime in 2026, don't be surprised to see 60 to 70,000 be hit to touch that 200 weekly SMA. But if you're sitting here saying, Tim, I got to get out. I don't want to wait for down there. I don't want to risk round tripping my bags again. I get you. I'm completely on board with you. I understand why you're saying that way. Let me help you with this analysis right here and let you know historically during these bear markets what happens. You have these things called relief bounces. Doesn't mean we're going to see a new all-time high necessarily. If you're bearish here, I still think we will. But if you're bearish, you have these relief bounces. After having a couple weeks down here below the 50-week SMA, you end up bouncing back to the upside. It happened back here in January of 2022 into March. This was a euphoric zone where a lot of people, myself included, thought, hey, we bottomed out. That's that pullback, that 50% pullback that happened in the summer of 2021. Here, we're going to go back into a bull market. What do? We rejected, not just on the 50-week SMA. You actually could go to the daily chart and turn on the SMA there. This one actually would be the 200 daily SMA is where we rejected right there. Just so you know, if you were to take a look at that, let's say we do get a relief bounce here. I told you earlier, there's a lot of buy signals starting to come in slowly. We're hitting some major support. This would imply, I'm going to assume this purple line is going to keep dropping here. More than likely, we could very well see Bitcoin with a relief bounce make its way back up over $100,000, back up to this purple line, somewhere between $100,000 to $110,000. Now, again, don't scream at me. I'm playing out for you what is possible. I think we very well could still see new all-time highs next year. But even under a bearish situation, even if you listen to everything I just said over the last 10 minutes and said, Tim, I think the bear market is here. I think the top is in. I need to get out. Wait for this relief bounce. Wait for this to happen. By the way, you might say, well, Tim, it happened in 2021. That doesn't mean it's going to happen again. It didn't just happen in 2021. Let me show you also what happened back in the 2018. You guys can see here very clearly, we had a big fall, big nasty wick down. And then we had this nice little relief bounce. We actually had a couple different relief bounces during the bear market of 2017 before we would eventually be in a little slow market and have a big pullback in 2018 for our official bear market bottom. In a nutshell, though, be prepared. You will probably see rebounds, moves back up, and you want to wait for that. Again, all of the shorter term, medium term charts right now are showing extreme oversold. Do not be surprised to see a little pop back up here. And it's going to, I'll tell you right now, let's put on a bearish hat for a second. I don't know why I'm just putting on a black hat. Let's be bear Tim for a second. I'm just being very bearish. What would happen is we would bounce back up and all the bulls and the bears would get quiet. The bulls will get loud. They'll start saying the top is coming. The top's not in. We're very bullish. And then we hit this line and we fall over and start a longer bear market. Okay? So be ready for that. It's going to be very important what happens when Bitcoin gets back up to this level towards the 200-day SMA. We're going to need a lot of volume to break through to convince the bull market's back on. If we reject and start to make our way back down, all of a sudden, the likelihood of a bear market increases, right? So that's what you need to be prepared for. Be prepared for a bounce. Be prepared for overly bullishness that's not necessarily backed up by all the details that are needed, and look to see, do we break through that 200-day SMA, or do we get rejected and all of a sudden we have a major problem? Now that's bearish Tim. Bullish Tim is back. Bullish Tim is back. I still think there's a good chance that what we end up seeing is a bounce back up and we break above that 200 SMA and we start a bull run, okay? I'm not here to tell you what you need to do, though. You decide for yourself. Are you bearish? Are you bullish? If you're bullish, you're hodling. You're not worried. This doesn't bother you at all. We're just going to ride this out how it plays out. If you're bearish and you want to sell, it just doesn't make sense to sell right here. Okay. If you want to sell, I'm not going to blame you. I'm not upset at you. I completely understand why you want to. I'm just sitting here telling you, at least be patient. Don't sell on a red day. Don't sell when everyone's bearish. Don't sell when Bitcoin's sitting down 30%. Sell after the relief bounce. Let the markets give a fake out. Let the manipulation play its game. Sell up there. Sell up there, and then let the bear market take its course and wait for lower levels to buy. Hopefully that sounds fair to everybody. Hopefully that makes sense. you know, I've gotten flack recently, and this is the game on YouTube. You can go off my screen now. I've gotten a lot of flack recently. I have said that I'm willing to round trip my bags. Have I ever, Shrum, you maybe need to answer this verbally. Have I ever told anybody else that they need to round trip their bags? Have I ever said, people, don't sell a single Satoshi, you need to round trip? I just tell you guys what I do. Am I wrong about that, Shrum?
No.
Yeah, hopefully that's the right way to say that answer. Yeah, here, the reality is, guys, you don't have to follow every move that I make. There are moments where I seem brilliant and I make a lot of, by the way, I'm up in my trading portfolio, but not digress. There's moments that my analysis looks brilliant. There's moments my analysis looks terrible. I was even telling our VIP trading group this today. The goal is not for you guys to blindly follow me and just do whatever I do. I'm here telling you what I'm doing with my money. I'm here showing you what I see on the charts, what I see in the news, what my thoughts are about it. But you are the one that controls your portfolio. Don't blindly follow me. Listen to the things I say and compute them and see, oh man, does Tim's opinion match up with mine? Does that make me feel good? Okay, cool, but it was your opinion. Or no, do I disagree? Is Tim missing the mark here? Is he missing out on some key information? He's wrong, and I'm not going to follow him. In that case, good. But what you need to have is information. And what I pride myself on, while I remain bullish, while I've been very open and honest with you guys that I'm just going to ride this out however it goes, I want to present to you both sides of the camp, both sides of the aisle, so that you can make your own decisions for yourself. And if anyone feels like, man, Tim's been telling me to follow him completely, I don't know where you got that from, and I apologize, don't do that. Now I say all this, and I said it earlier in the show, I want to give a little bit of hopium before I give it over to Shrum and the news. Historically, not just when the market overall gets bearish, but during this bull run, the time that I have started to give a cautious voice oftentimes mimics bottom movements, right? So you might even be saying, man, Tim's been wrong this whole time. Good. I'm here presenting to you a lot of bearishness, reasons to be concerned. So shouldn't you be bullish? You know, but again, you got to decide for yourself what you want to do. I'm just here telling you the news. What are the charts saying? I can't make the markets do anything. I'm just here trading and investing like you guys. That being said, real quickly, we're gonna get into the news, but I want to talk to you guys real quickly. If you want to trade right now, if you're sitting here saying, man, these markets are terrible, I want to short the crap out of this, but you're running low on funds, we got a great solution for you. One of our sponsors called Breakthrough helps you right here, right now. Whether you want to long or short, you can do both. You can make money no matter which way the markets go. And even with a little bit of capital, you can trade with more because this is a prop firm. A prop firm is where you spend a little bit of money to get a big bag of money, and you can trade with that. It's not like crazy leverage or margin trading. It is a prop firm. It's completely legal. It's KYC'd. You have no problems whatsoever. So for example, like we traded with this, $1,000 portfolio bought us on a $100,000 portfolio, right? I put $1,000 in, it got 100,000. I think if you put 100 in, you get like 10,000. What did I do with that? Well, in one weekend, we were able to make $34,000 trading with only $1,000 of capital. How? It's a prop firm. We were actually trading with 100,000. Go check out Breakout. Let them know that we sent you and start trading with extra capital today. Doesn't matter if you're bullish or bearish. You follow your own charts. Just go use our link for Breakout. It's in the link tree in the description down below. Shout out to them. Shrum, it is time to get into the news. We got some good news today. We got some bad news. We got to chew on it. A lot of it has to do with even things we discussed already in the show, but stick around. Let's get into this news, and we'll kind of answer some questions at the tail end of the show and call it a day. Shrum, what do you got for us today?
Absolutely. Tim and I were going back and forth, trying to plan, are we going to do a little bit of news or a lot of news? And we decided to do a lot of news. So I'm going to do the lightning round today. There's quite a bit. We'll start with NVIDIA. NVIDIA reports third quarter earnings after the bell. This is arguably the most important thing that is still ahead of us. Tomorrow, we will get the BLS print for jobs data from September, not October, from September. This could be a little bit of data that may change the spread for the poly market, predicting of whether or not we get a rate cut in December. But here on my screen, this is an important aspect as well. NVIDIA earnings. Will it affect crypto? We'll see. I don't know that crypto really cares about anything other than selling off right now. So maybe this headline just is completely meaningless. Let's keep moving. U.S. Labor Department to cancel October jobs report. Now 64% chance of a Fed rate pause in December. So I also asked all three of your favorite LLMs, large language models, about this, and this is what we got. So the estimate of what is likely to happen in December, estimated to vote for a rate cut, is 4 members. Estimated to vote for a rate hold is 8 members, right? So ChatGPT is saying it's going to be a hold. Grok says 6 will hold and 4 will cut, but there's 2 undecided, says Grok. So getting even more nuanced here. Very interesting. But this would result in a non-cut. And finally, Gemini. We asked Gemini and vote. It does a similar outcome here. So this one actually says 7 cuts, 7 for cuts, and 5 for holds. But the outcome of this, the average is that it would be a hold. Gemini is the only one that thinks it could potentially cut. It's an interesting prompt. If you guys want to go do this prompt for yourself, what I typed in here is: would like to see a table including all 12 voting members of the FOMC for the December 2025 meeting. Moving along here in the news, market structure bill not going to pass in 2025. Now this is a huge bummer, and this is likely why we're seeing, at the surface level at least, quite a bit of sell-off, right? A lot of folks in the United States and around the world have been watching closely to Gary Gensler getting kicked out of the SEC position and the new regime, the new SEC regime, along with Congress, being crypto-friendly, passing friendly crypto regulation or just regulation at all, defining the rules of the road. Because of the government shutdown, this market structure bill that was scheduled to be voted on in 2025 now will likely not be voted on and passed and sent to the Trump administration's desk in 2025. But, and this is a bullish reason here, why I'm still bullish, is because this will go to Trump's desk in 2026, more than likely. Why do I say this with such a high level of confidence? Well, it's because the cryptocurrency lobby has double the amount of money that they had in 2024 to influence electoral outcomes legally, I will say. And so that is a pretty confident thing, is that money talks in Washington. If you disagree with that, you're going to have to come up with a strong argument. Bitcoin ETF holders have weak hands among their ranks. How do we know this? Because Eric Bulkanis has reported on it. IBIT had the worst day of outflows ever. Yesterday, about $500 million, ugly stretch, although year-to-date flows still an astronomical $25 billion, 6th overall of all ETFs. Is incredible. All told, $3.3 billion in total outflows past month for Bitcoin ETF, which is 3.5 of the total assets under management. So they're selling, the ETFs are selling, right? But it's still not putting a dent in this 25 billion overall, right? Moving along here, that's the ETFs. There's some bullish news. Get some bullish news. Before we get to the bullish news, actually, I want to show you the Solana ETFs, because the Solana ETFs are actually knocking people's pants off. This is now I think this is the 12th straight day of green inflows for the Solana ETFs. So while the Ethereum and the Bitcoin ETFs are selling off and their outflows are setting records, there is actually quite a bit of money pouring into Solana. So far, the total is 420 million since the ETFs for Solana went live on the 28th of October. And that's even after the crazy, scary wick that happened October 10th. For XRP, while we're here, 276 net inflows for the XRP spot ETFs. Very cool. Heading back to that bullish news, Republican Brandon Gill, representative of Texas, and added up to 300,000 in Bitcoin and Bitcoin ETFs to his holdings. Right. So this does not speak to me as someone who's in the know, a voting member of Congress, taking a long position on Bitcoin. They have to disclose this, similar to Nancy Pelosi. This does not say to me that we're heading into a long, arduous winter for Bitcoin. Now, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he's got another 300,000 laying around that he's going to DCA later in February, when we're at the bottom of a cold, wintry crypto market. I don't know. You tell me. What do you think your read is on that one? Moving along, more bullish news. New Hampshire approves and launches the first Bitcoin-backed municipal bond. Won't get into the details of this one because it gets quite heady, and you probably don't know much about the bond market. That's okay. this is just really cool, really bullish, interesting news. Now, so much bullish news. This is even more bullish. Like this is crazy how much bullish news there is, and yet the price is just like, I don't care. I'm going to keep going down. The Basel Committee is rethinking its strict crypto rules. Right now, under the Basel rule, financial institutions must apply a 1,250% risk weight to exposure of crypto like Bitcoin and Ethereum on their balance sheet. So it makes it to where holding crypto on your balance sheet isn't illegal for the banks that are regulated by the Basel Committee, but it makes it to where you have to have an additional 1,250% collateral backing on your balance sheet. So functionally, it doesn't make it illegal, but it makes it financially very silly to hold crypto for many banks. Overall, there's a lot of bullish news, but this has been the norm for 2025. You can go off my screen now. I'm done sharing my screen. The norm for 2025 has been bullish news, bullish headline, a bank's integrating with AVAX, Harvard is buying Bitcoin, a massive endowment is considering buying Bitcoin. The central bank of Czech Republic is buying Bitcoin in its central bank. There are all these bullish headlines, and yet we continue to move lower. Why? Well, it's because of the macro situation, whether it be liquidity or delays in regulatory advancements of bills such as the Clarity Act. Things just aren't going the way that investors thought it would for this year. But I'm sitting here and I'm saying, like so many other folks who are still bullish about crypto, this is a Christmas present. These prices are low. I like to buy low prices. I've been telling people in the morning news, hey, I like cookie butter. When I walk into a store and cookie butter is on sale, it doesn't make me like cookie butter less. In fact, I'll probably buy more of it because it's on sale and I know I like it. Now, I can't eat Bitcoin. I can't eat Solana. It can't nourish me, but it can build my wealth over time. So as it's lower and lower and lower, I'm going to continue to DCA. That's at least my strategy. You might call it round tripping my bags. I think that as we move forward and the crypto market matures, folks will stop thinking about it so much as round tripping, as much as just buying, the lows of market cycles and maybe taking profits towards the highs. But Tim, that's the news for today. I gave a little bit of my analysis there on the back end. Ultimately, the Federal Reserve is less likely to cut rates in December. That is a big stormy cloud on the crypto markets. And then also we had the NVIDIA news coming out later today after the close of the New York Stock Exchange, which should be here in about 20 minutes.
Yeah, that's going to be very interesting. Obviously, AI and NVIDIA have been propping up the stock market now for the last month and some change. Like if you're saying here, wow, the S&P 500 is so high. How is it? It's because NVIDIA, which is the largest market cap company in the world, has been continuing to just rip to the upside, and it's carrying the S&P 500 with it. In a nutshell, the last little bit, gold's not necessarily doing very good. We already know Bitcoin and crypto have not been doing well since October for sure. So it's going to be interesting to see what kind of happens there. There's two ways of thinking. Number one is that kind of sells off and people go high into cash. Something I think people should be aware of. Go to my screen here. We are sitting at some pretty interesting levels when it comes to cash. USDT, for example, is back up. Did not mean to draw there. USDT is back up towards a zone of resistance it's now struggled with since January of 2024. Doesn't mean we can't break up, right? A bear market would make this thing go here, right? If we get a bull market, though, we're back at resistance. We could see a reversal come in very, very soon. By the way, that's not the only level of liquidity. Let's look at the power of the dollar. The Dixie's been climbing here, but look at this. Dixie right now is bumping its head back on resistance here as well. After putting in some good lows this year, we're back up here to around $100 per coin. What am I saying? $100 in valuation. It's former support. We had to support all of the bear market. Now, all of a sudden, are we going to turn it to resistance? Again, in a bear market, this thing shoots back up. If this is a bull market, we'll just reject right here and continue our way to the downside. So will we see NVIDIA sell off? First of all, will we see NVIDIA do well? If it does well, I don't think this is really a point. The point is, let's say NVIDIA has bad report. NVIDIA starts to sell off. Will the dollar increase? As people don't move that money into another asset, they don't maybe go move into gold, or they don't move into Bitcoin or crypto. Or will we see them move it into gold or to crypto, and all of a sudden we see the dollar even maybe start to have a reason to inject this liquidity back over there? The dollar rejects, and another asset class goes up to the upside. You can take my chart off now, Smay. We'll have to wait and see how that one plays out. I also want to bring a reference. I think you were using our Twitter account, our X account, to tell people where the number is. Show my screen one more time, actually. No change on the poly market trend, is actually now up to 67%. So massive swing. But as Shrum told you, go off my chart now, this is peculiar to me, Shrum, that people are so confident. We have $120 million betting right now on this market on whether or not we're going to have a rate cut in December. When the details of the FOMC, they come across very bearish, but we have no idea what the vote's actually going to be. I know you used Gemini to kind of say it might be 5-7, 7-5, but the report says many said a cut would be, or it said, I think it said several people reported that a cut would be appropriate. Many said it wouldn't be appropriate. So could someone help me out in chat right now? What is the difference between several and many? What does several mean and what does many mean? We'll have our answer as to whether or not they're going to cut rates. I continue to say this. I don't think it's crazy to think that there will still be a rate cut in December. I think tomorrow we'll see a revised September unemployment rate. Like, the big reason why they're not going to be able to cut rates, or they're thinking they're not going to cut rates, is because they have no data. With Trump saying that they're not going to release the October data before FOMC, they're going to say, well, we have no data. If September's unemployment levels look really bad coming out tomorrow, we could see the poly market shift right back and go to 67%, 25 basis point cuts. Heck, maybe it's really, really bad and we see it go up to 50 basis point cuts. We don't want it to be too bad because that would then spark fears of recession. But we got 3 weeks, guys. We have 3 weeks until the actual FOMC meeting. Let's not get too carried away about the volatility within the last 7 days. 2 Fed members say no cut, then 2 Fed members say there will be a cut, then the FOMC minutes come out and it seems like it's split. Who's going to do what? Let's continue to let this unpack as it goes. I'm going to be very clear, though. If you look at the data, though, it does not say that we're done cutting. It says that the members think it might be appropriate to pause for the rest of this year. And saying the rest of this year is stupid because there's only one more meeting. It never says that they don't expect to have more rate cuts in 2026. In fact, it says that several of them say it will be appropriate to cut further in 2026, maybe just take a pause in 2025. It also, if you read to the report, says that while they do still have some concerns about upward swings in inflation, the bigger concern to them is unemployment. That's why not having October data is a big deal, because the biggest influence to them right now is how fast is unemployment rising. Well, if tomorrow's September numbers look really bad, do you, as Jerome Powell and the rest of the Fed, play with fire here and say, well, we don't know what October looks like, but everything on the surface is looking pretty bad? Do you play with fire and say, well, we don't have October data, so let's just pause? Or do you say September was bad, October looks bad, even though we can't confirm it, we should probably be responsible and keep the rate cuts coming? We'll see how that one kind of plays out. There's a whole lot of stuff, though, that's going to play out over the next little bit, next week or two. So stick around, stay with the show. We will help you guys kind of navigate the news, what that news is kind of breaking down, what are the charts saying. It's all what we do here every single day. I think that's all I have. Any other stories you thought were significant that we should talk about here, Strum, before we get into some Q&A?
No more stories. I mean, there's so many variables going on right now. If you're overwhelmed and, there's just so many questions flying around in your head, jump into our free Discord. There's a link down in the description below. Just ask us, whatever's on your mind. Maybe you just want to talk with people who are also invested in crypto like you are, but you don't necessarily have any technical questions. Jump in that free Discord. There's a lot of folks that do that. They just jump in, they share their thoughts, they share links to blogs and stuff like that, and we have a lot of fun. But one thing I'll say, because we have a lot of people in the chat who are still confident that like we are, that we're in a bull market, and that we're going to go higher. It's just a matter of time. One thing I will say is that last week, or actually this week, I think it was Monday, I dropped some of the cryptocurrencies that I bought. And if you've listened, this is an hour-long show. If you've watched this long, I want to reward folks with a couple of the picks that I got. If you all remember, Hyperliquid and other DEX coins like this, these coins had absolutely moonshot moves. Now they're much more priced to the downside. So Hyperliquid and Aster are some coins that I picked up earlier this week. And if you'd been in our paid Discord and joined our trading membership, you would have known that. I just wanted to share that before we jump into Q&A.
Yeah. Yeah. Very good stuff there. Some Q&A. First of all, I want to address the chat and the poll here. I asked the poll earlier, Shrum, do you believe we're headed for a recession? 56% of our viewers right now. Now, it's 996 votes. We had over 1,000 people concurrent here on YouTube. 56% of it saying yes, right? So we're getting to a fear zone. I'll go back to something I said weeks ago. Recessions more often hit when people aren't fully prepared for them and it comes out of nowhere. We're not in a recession right now, right? That's something we know. Even when you look at the markets, the stock market is not down. Crypto, I know it's rough, guys. I know Bitcoin's down 30%. That's not the worst it's even been down this year. If you go look at altcoins, I know altcoins are down bad. Altcoins are not even as down bad as they were earlier this year, right? I know this sounds crazy, but the majority of crypto is still in a higher low situation. Lower highs have come in, right? That's concerning, but we're still pretty in higher lows overall, which means this isn't even the worst we've seen in the last year or the last 2 years. Yet people all of a sudden are convinced we're headed for a recession. To me, that kind of echoes something I saw someone coin on X today. I don't remember who coined it, but I said it to you earlier, Shrum. Are we hitting bear euphoria, right? If the bull market's topped by retail euphoria, bullish euphoria, will the bear market will the bear pullback, the bear trend be marked and bottomed by bearish euphoria? We are seeing extreme levels of negativity right now, despite the fact that when you zoom out, we're not even in a crazy bad spot when all things are considered. There's fear, there's concern, there's uncertainty, there's doubt, there's a lot of FUD out there, but we aren't necessarily at those negative spots that we've seen. I understand why people are afraid, though. Like, I'm not going to sit here and say, if you're concerned, you're stupid, because you're not. I understand why. Earlier in this video, I went through 6 reasons myself that it makes sense to be concerned about where we are in the market. But I want to just make sure to reiterate over and over again, we were in the same level of fear back in April of 2025, and we ended up having another all-time high. We were at the same level of fear at the end of August and September of 2024, and we would go on to an all-time highs. It always had a big catalyst. This time it's going to be, I do believe, it's going to be liquidity. That's the biggest thing on it. But to walk away from the markets when we're this close to that injected liquidity that has stifled the market so far this year, to me, it just still seems a little premature and a little silly. Let's talk, though. Let's get some questions. Go ahead and drop some questions in chat, everybody. I did see someone earlier asking me, Tim, when are we going to bottom? What's it going to look like? When are we going back up? Yada, yada. Listen, guys, I don't know. I think right now the charts are telling me, if you go to my screen here, Smay, if you look at this and you look at how, let's just look at Bitcoin, for example. And if you guys want to look at some altcoins, we can. Right now, I don't know if any altcoin in particular is the most important one to watch on the charts, because even though Bitcoin dominance is slightly higher, it's still in a range. We're still kind of following what Bitcoin's doing. I showed you earlier, there was just a plethora. I don't need to bring it all back up. This zone right in here between 92, I need to go a little higher here, 92 to around 89 there's like 27 different reasons to have support in this zone. Doesn't mean it's the bottom. Doesn't mean we're done. It just means very good reason we should see a bounce. When I look at the indicators here, for example, the daily chart, it does look, let me get rid of MACD and let me get up our flow signals. It does look like the daily candle is close. We probably are a couple candles away from a bullish signal, but we are seeing, again, the green reversal, the rounding off of the oscillator. The money flow is slowing down. I know this because the 12-hour is extremely close to giving its own buy signal. Give it a week or two, and more than likely we'll get a buy signal on the daily chart. And again, I'm not saying that means new all-time high. Look, we had a buy signal back in here during this dip back in November 6th. It just put in a higher low, but it was a great reason to long up here, wait for resistance, and then take profit right there. This time, I still think a bounce is coming, and it makes sense to say this zone was a good support level. If it's not, and if we end up dropping a little bit lower, I would tell you, go ahead and take a look at Fibonacci retracement and take a look at our platinum pocket level down here at 83.3, right? So if we drop a little lower, Where would the next support level be? I'm going to say somewhere here on 82 to 83,000 would be the next support level. All that being said, we're down 30%. I mean, that's another big reason. Like, let's just add on to that. We're down 30% now. Bitcoin officially has dropped 30. Is it officially 30? It's actually just less than 30%, but like 29.97. It depends on what chart you're looking at. That's another big reason. Another big reason. Some people, it doesn't mean, I'm not promising you that the bottom's in. I'm just saying there will be people, even bears at this level will get out of their shorts. They'll take profit. They'll buy the dips, the blood in the street, while no retail wants to touch it with a 10-foot pole because retail never buys the dips. They will allow price to go back up, let retail jump back in, and then they'll sell up here. And then they'll bring it all down here for a new low, or they'll bring it back down and double bottom like we kind of did back here in April 2025. Or we'll just go ahead and break on through because retail never jumps back in, and you just allowed the whales and institutions to get up all of that momentum. We'll have to wait and see how that one is going for. MACD not showing relief yet, says wrong again, which is one of our guys over on Discord. MACD, let's see what the MACD is actually saying. Yeah, the MACD is not showing that cross yet. Kind of that money flow hasn't gone positive. It is slowing, right? We are slowing down here. We are starting to round off those histograms. You guys can see even the last one yesterday gave us a little bit of a pale histogram. So you are seeing a rounding start to happen, but it's not a lock yet. And here's what you need to know. This is going to be a lagging indicator. What that means is if you think using an indicator to pinpoint the exact bottom, that's not going to happen. These things will turn bullish a couple of days after the bottom is secure. So that's why I'm kind of putting a window. We're at a serious support level. That makes a lot of sense for this short-term bottom. We're seeing those longer-term indicators slowly get overextended and say we're sitting at a level where we could pop back up. So give us a couple of days. We will confirm it. If not, guess what I'm doing right now? And I'm not going to show you all my levels, but ultimately take a look here with this indicator, what you can do with shorting right now to make money if you're into trading. The last couple, you're looking at a 4-hour chart, last couple sell signals with the indicator have been beautiful. Look at this 4-hour. 4-hour told us to sell back here November 10th. Just beautiful top position right there. Sell signal back here on November 2nd. Beautiful top signal right here. You could do it even more, probably 1 or 2, probably 4 or 5 trades a week. The sell signal on the 1-hour chart has also been lethal here more recently, pinpointing some great tops enter a short. Right now, we're looking close to getting a 1-hour buy. So look for a pop back up, especially if Bitcoin can't make its way back up over 93 and get above that high back here, and we put in another sell signal, believe me, I'm going to enter that short and make some money while I'm waiting for this bottom to confirm and shoot back to the upside. Listen, I do one thing with my long-term bags. I'm not selling them. I've been very open and honest about it. That does not mean in my short-term trading, I am not looking for opportunities to make money, whether it be longing or shorting. I talk about it every single day. Most often, I'm going to be honest with you guys, I actually am not at 90% right now. Like this week, I'm probably sitting 50-50 with my trades. Over the last 3 months, I'm sitting over 90% win rates. This week, I did get obliterated, trade this morning, but I learned my lesson on that one. So if you guys don't want to join me because I had a bad trade this morning, I completely understand. If you want to make money, though, and look at these indicators and know when to get in and when to get out in the trading game on the short term here and there, go check out the VIP trading group and get that free indicator today. You can go off my screen there. We got some questions rolling in. Aragon Lionheart. Aragon Lionheart? I don't know. Hey, Tim, if you have time and interested in Chainlink, can you check out the chart and give your opinion? How is it going? Well, it's not going swell, just like the rest of the markets here. It dropped here below $13. Now, at the moment on the 1-hour chart, got a nice little bounce kind of coming in here. But on the longer time frames, you can see here, we have put in a new little low here on this cycle. We're getting very close to a longer term support level that could be very interesting, kind of probably coming in here around 1258, 1260. You guys see the trend line of support that Link has had since back here in August of 2024. Again, just like Bitcoin, it's not quite got that daily buy signal yet, but you do see, again, some slow transitions. MACD's even rounding off here. Our flow signals indicator is starting to round off here down low. The money flow is not positive just yet, so we do need to wait on that one. Once again, like Bitcoin, it is starting to give us a little bit of a 12-hour buy signal. in the last couple of days. Not officially bullish money flow just yet, so I am patiently waiting on that one. But you would see on other time frames like the 4 hour and whatnot, you are seeing some positivity kind of come in here. So I think that's another one. Bottom close to in on this little move, but I'm not ready yet to enter into a longer. I tried to enter a longer. I 8-minute. This was the trade I lost this morning. I tried to enter into a trade, got a good entry back over here, was in profit for a little bit, but then this big dip this morning, it took me out. I used my stop loss. I said, you know what, cutting ties there. I'm going to move on. But I do think another opportunity is probably close. But at this point, I am going to wait for that 12-hour confirmation. Give me that positive money flow on the 12-hour. I'll feel a lot better. That should, in theory, send the price of Chainlink back up here. Won't see the indicator, probably back up here at least to 1478. Then if we get the daily buy signal coming in the next couple of days, that's the one that I'm going to say, okay, better opportunity, probably looking close to $17 as a target for Chainlink to bump back up to. So that's what I'm seeing there on Chainlink. Cankles, see you there. Love you, Cankles. I know you've not been a fan of mine recently. You said, you sure about that 90%, Tim? Listen, my longer-term investment bags, I'm not making all the way. My trading ones, like the ones that I'm entering for shorts and longs and the scalp trading, yes, hitting over 90% on those ones. Thanks, Tim. You got my name right. Okay, I did say it. Sorry, it's my name on Twitch. Oh, very cool. Glad I got it right. Greg says, can you look at Solana? Solana is a coin that had a nice little bounce here the other day, still dropping. This is another one, though, that I told you guys a while ago. We don't do every altcoin every single day, but I told you guys 120. We didn't quite get to my level. I guess we could drop down to it. I told you 127 a couple of weeks ago, right? Here on Solana. One of the big reasons why is because not only do we have a golden pocket area in that camp down here. Actually, the golden pocket was a little higher. So that was the 134. We had the fallout of the rising wedge pattern. I blanked on it for a second. Rising wedge pattern here, everybody. The breakout came here down below, and it gave us a short-term target right here at 120. I didn't draw it perfectly there. I have been saying 127. This says 125. You get my point, though. You could make the argument we're close enough to that signal. This is something we talked about way back in October when we lost this support level on Solana. Just like the others, it's very close to printing. This one, actually, you do see the positive momentum starting to come back in on the daily chart. The green reversals, just not positive money flow yet. 12-hour, you actually officially, this one, remember the Bitcoin and the Chainlink one, I did not have the buy signal on the 12-hour just yet, but I do have it on the 12-hour chart right now. So from that position back here, this bottom over here on November 17th, you do have a buy signal coming in here. That has a shorter term target here for Solana. Back up here to 156, we get a nice little bounce. And then again, if that daily chart decides to give us something, I'd look at 161. There's a chance you can make it to 182, but I'd look closer to 160 as a safer zone of resistance should that buy signal come in. So there you go. There's some Solana TA for you. The noob says he does the same altcoin every day, never see a new coin being talked about. I'm just responding to questions. Anyone have other coins they want to take a look at here today? We probably have time for one more question here, but the reason I look at a lot of like Solanas and Chainlinks and AVAXs and things like that is because those are the ones that are more popular. I'll do this last one we have not done in quite some time, but I'm seeing a request for it. Jonathan Burke, AZ, says, how about ICP? By the way, guys, I know the concurrent's dropping a little bit. Smash the like on your way out. Do us a favor, smash that like button. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel as well. Let's take a look at ICP. I have not done ICP. I did ICPTA, I think, last week. Where did I move my ICP chart to?
Hey, Tim, get the ICP chart. I want to bring something to people's attention. Go over to my screen really quick. As you're jumping off and after the ICPTA, Crux of Crypto channel is putting out a Caspa video. So if you're a Caspa hodler, I know I am. I have sold 0 Caspa this whole market. Go just stay where you are because it will start playing after this live stream. And if you want to watch it later, go over to Crux of Crypto. Tim, back to you for the ICPTA.
All right, let's look at this ICP. This is actually a better looking chart than a lot of the other altcoins out there, right? ICP wick down here back on October 10th, nasty wick. And then after spending some time here throughout the rest of October, we had a nice boost on ICP back up to resistance zone, right? So if I extend that zone that already was in play, in fact, let's go up, let's stretch that up to the resistance. There you go. Hit some nice longer term resistance. You do see a little bit of a channel kind of forming there with support and resistance. Last couple of days, definitely pulling back, but not even as low as we were back at the end of October. Let's see what this means, though. We do have some bullish divergence in play on the daily chart. The money flow's going slow. Here we go. There's a chance we get another buy signal on the daily chart here very soon. We do have a nice bounce, bullish divergence, rounding money flow. It's not there yet on the daily chart. Let's see if the 12-hour chart's going to tell us a different story. We had a buy signal on the 12-hour chart. The question is going to be how close do we get to that smart trail? Make a little misdirection move right in here. I think this is another good one to keep an eye on. 12 hours saying 660 could be interesting to watch here. Daily chart, you're going to look a little bit closer towards 750. I don't know if we can get that high because that smart trail is coming down. $7. Once we confirm and we get everything kind of moving and grooving here, what you kind of do here, I was actually teaching a little more about this indicator to our VIP trading group. You get this buy signal like a 12-hour, right? We had this buy signal, but it's kind of rounding off here. Misdirection moves happen all the time. What you're going to kind of watch for here is probably when do we get the next big conviction move on the 4-hour chart. You can see we had this buy signal, broke up. Look at this. This is what this indicator does. Buy signal here. You ride it up to the smart trail. We rejected, got a sell signal. We're taking that back down right now. We already went down to that smart trail down here below at 466. Getting a little bit of a round off here on the flow signals oscillator. Once we have the green reversals, once we get that bullish momentum dot and positive money flow, look for that 4-hour buy to trigger into the 12-hour buy to then eventually probably get that daily chart to convince itself as well it's time to make a move to the upside. So not telling you ICP can't go a little lower than here, but I am saying when you look at those longer term charts, it is suggesting a larger move back up towards $7 or even above $7 should be on the table here. Again, if you're bearish and you want to take profit at those levels, go for it. I completely understand why you would. In fact, there's a lot of altcoins out there. I probably even myself would say if I was holding that altcoin, I would take profit on it. I have a lot of altcoins I have longer term conviction in, but as far as trading is going, I'm going to be trading some of these coins and taking profit on long positions when we make that pop back up. So that's going to wrap up today's show. You can go off my screen here, Smay. Thank you so much, everybody, for being here once again. I'll be back tomorrow at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with a quick 20-minute live show. So come back around for our fast show Tuesdays and Thursdays. Otherwise, I'll see you guys the next time. Adios.